Any further discussion? Rep. DeGraff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I support the motion to move this back to business and labor. 005, that indicates that this is one of the first bills out of the chute. That tells us that it is an important bill to the body. Why is it coming up 3 days prior? And then we're told, well, we have to vote on this and we have to decide everything. If there's obviously a lot of moving parts here. There's a lot of interest against this. There's apparently no deal right now, and any efforts to ameliorate it have been rejected. So we have a bill that is brought in the first 100 days, or the first few days of the 120 days of session, and then we bring it to this floor at day 117. If a bill is important, if a bill is that important, we should have it come before the body, have the full discussion, send it back to committee if it needs to, bring it back forward. We're talking about putting something in motion that has very long-lasting ramifications. When I look at business failure rate in Colorado, 25% in the first year, half in the first 5 years. There's a lot of risk for businesses there. We look at what happens when you have agenda items that, we're talking about protecting workers, but we talk continually in this room and pass legislation that pushes jobs overseas and creates a minimum wage of 0. So if this is really an important bill, then I think it should have been brought earlier, and we should have these discussions longer, and we should have this hashed out, not stuff that goes on in the back room. So now that we've got this bill into the light of day now, and you look at the changes that have been made in this bill, the changes have been massive. So what was heard in one committee, very different than heard in another committee. We need to send it back. Going back to business and labor is an easy way to ensure that we are doing that. And if the process doesn't allow for that, well, we have next General Assembly, and we can bring it at the very beginning. We can bring it at the outset of the next session, and then we can have these discussions. But to drop something now with massive amounts of changes, with lots of upheaval, with lots of people misunderstanding what's going on with this bill, and then to say, well, we need to pass it right now because it's in the waning hours of the General Assembly, that's just how you make more bad policy. We don't need more bad policy. We need good policy. We need policy that's going to protect workers, but mostly what workers need to be protected from is this General Assembly. So we need to we need to send this back to business, and we need to have the full discussion about what the ramifications are. It's not just a matter of do we want to or do we not want to protect workers. This is a matter of do we want to or not want to protect business. And my colleague mentioned that businesses have an incentive or unions have an incentive for businesses to be in business, and that's true overall, but I have personally seen the effects of unions that forced business out of business for their own interests. So I'm in favor of unions, by the way. I'm in favor of unions. I'm in favor of right to work. But I don't think those are exclusive. I think we need to have a discussion about how this, and we'll have this discussion, but I think the easier way the better way would be to move this back to business so we can work out some of these details so that when we bring it to this body, that some of those details are hashed out and we can have a better conversation rather than pushing this bill through on day 117 of 120 days and then saying it's a priority bill, so it has to be done immediately. So I recommend an aye vote on this motion.
Rep. Joseph.
On this motion.